Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And man, oh man, do I have an episode planned for you today. So excited about this one. Probably more excited about this one than I've been excited for any of the episodes that I've produced so far. This one's going to be a barn burner. Before I dive into the content, though, man, do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video as well so that, man, I can cruise along Algorithm Avenue and this content can get into the presence of the people who are looking for this kind of content. Moreover, man, I just appreciate you guys for rocking with me the way that you have been. This has been a fun journey, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better. This episode is obviously inspired by the antics of one LeBron James. I've appreciated LeBron's career, so I do want to say that this is not, one of those episodes where, if you've already seen the thumbnail, I'm going to take an opportunity to take shots at LeBron James because of his play on court. You know what I mean? And things of that nature. I've appreciated his career and what he's given on the court for the most part, you know what I mean? Despite in latter years, him kind of playing defense in spots and not really taking the challenge, you know what I mean? To bone up and to man up on defense the way that he is supposed to as a complete basketball player, as folks, you know what I mean, have tried to push out into the presence of the media, those who are listening, and, those of us who are watching and trying to get us to believe something that we don't see. But that notwithstanding, this is not going to be, one of those ones where I pick his game apart and talk about some of his deficiencies on the court. LeBron James is LeBron James. I'm sure that everybody watching this video somewhere are probably already stomach churning and being upset, like, well, what's your play? He's been playing great. And like, you're right. You know what I mean? And in a lot of ways, LeBron James has brought magic to the basketball court, but his antics off the court and some of the things that he's done, kind of subtly, and some of the things that he's done in terms of his moves and how he moves, I feel like point more to his character that, overall just haven't been, the best, haven't displayed as the best. They haven't looked optically the best. And ultimately what they've resulted in has done more to hurt, basketball than it's done to help. So I'm going to entitle today's episode, LeBron James has cheated the game of basketball. I'm going to dig into exactly how LeBron James has done that. And man, whether you agree or you disagree, you're going to get this work today. So let's get right into it. I don't have to belabor the point any farther. First up, Le Chosen One. So, for those who were around, in 2003 or prior to, I want to say about 2001 or so, when ESPN began broadcasting LeBron James high school basketball games when he was at St. Vincent St. Mary's on ESPN and just kind of exposing him to the world. Man, the brother was a phenom, a phenomenal basketball player, a prodigy, you know what I mean? A man-child in the high school ranks. It was clear that he was simply leagues head and shoulders above, the competition in high school. The kid was certainly ready for levels higher than the high school level. And we all recognized that because we could see it and we applauded it as well. We were like, man, this kid is special. And he was incredibly special as a basketball player, so much so that, before even inking an NBA deal, the folks over at Nike decided to sign him to a 7-year, $90 million contract, tennis shoe deal, you know what I mean? So, or basketball shoe deal. So, you know what I mean? It was amazing. It was unprecedented. You know what I mean? So LeBron James definitely, kind of wowed everybody. Sports Illustrated, as you can see here on the graphic, for those who don't know, ran an article about him. I mean, it wasn't just Sports Illustrated, but he was on the cover of so many magazines, just again as a phenom, and deservedly so, because his play certainly dictated all of the praise and all of the hype that he came into this league with. I would not suggest that he walked into this league after being drafted #1 overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's from Akron, Ohio, but Cleveland's as close to a home team, you know what I mean, that he could get. And I'm not suggesting that he walked into this league as he stated. I watched the the Uninterrupted, his company's um, documentary on Netflix. I watched I binged the entire 10 episodes. My lady thought it was crazy. She's like, you're still watching this, and I was like, it's 10 episodes. I'm gonna watch every single one of them. But I binged that, and in that documentary or that docu series, he actually stated, that somewhere around 19, 20, 21, he was the face of the NBA, which is not true. His play was phenomenal, but he wasn't the face of the NBA by a long stretch. He was one of the up and comings and recognized as so. Again, riding this cloud of hype. Did he rise to the occasion to meet the hype? He certainly did. I would not say that he did not, but he did not walk into this league and just own the league, as in, man, look, y'all might as well move aside. It's the kid LeBron James league, and look at him. He's beating you guys. He's doing things. In fact, his team did not even make the playoffs the first 2 seasons that he was in the league. So, and then a lot of people will probably look at that and say, well, he was a rookie. So, I mean, like, what are you expecting from a rookie? We don't expect a rookie to walk in and make his team, you know what I mean, a winning team. And, well, you know what I mean? I'd argue that Michael Jordan did. Literally almost averaged 30 points a game. But this is not a Michael Jordan video. And got his team to the playoffs. But this is not a Michael Jordan video. This is not a LeBron James slander video in that regard. It's not a comparison video in that regard. But I'm just saying, I'm speaking the facts, and I'm letting you know what happened and what did not happen. So he was not able to get his team into the playoffs inside of his first 2 seasons, as I stated. And then his third season, he did get his team, into the playoffs. Moreover, and phenomenally, you know what I mean, in phenomenal fashion, he was able to will his team to the NBA Finals in his fourth season. So by his second year actually making the playoffs, which is phenomenal in and of itself, man, he saw his team, you know what I mean, compete in the finals for the very first time. They lost. They lose to, I believe it was Tim Duncan and the Spurs. But a phenomenal feat nonetheless. It's like, man, this kid is coming, right? This kid's going to be around for a long time, we knew, and he's going to be making some noise in the league at some point. Honestly, for the raw talent and ability that he had when he walked into the league and riding this cloud of hype and all this fanfare, it was refreshing to see a kid come in and play so well and to find himself having, success in the league so early, and the expectations because of that, I think, made me as a basketball fan believe that LeBron James's presence in the league would mean so much for basketball from a positive standpoint. And so I was looking forward to him following the mold of the greats who had come before him and doing more inside of that mold, as opposed to seeking to break the mold and do his own thing. And I'm not saying that doing your own thing, I would never suggest that, getting into a game or getting into an industry and then doing it your way is bad. This is how, you know what I mean, we find a space to break new ground and to charter a new course and to even expand an industry. It's that trendsetter who comes in and says, well, you guys have been doing it this way, I'm going to do it this way. And it leads the industry into a new direction. I don't necessarily feel like LeBron James has done that. And I'll explain to you why in this next graphic. Le Decision. After 7 failed seasons of winning it all, not winning a championship, making it, being disappointed at the end of, those seasons, not feeling like perhaps he had the team around him that he needed in order to win. LeBron James, had some decisions to make, so entering free agency in the 2010 season, instead of remaining, loyal to the team that drafted him, his hometown team, as close to a hometown team, as you can get, LeBron James made a decision that, would lead to more heartbreak and betrayal of the home state than anything. And it was so heartbreaking that he decided to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was shocking to a lot of people that he decided to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it wasn't just that he decided to leave, but he made a mockery of it. This whole pomp and circumstance on ESPN, they turned it into this hour-long broadcast called The Decision. And it was, it was just utter foolishness. You know what I mean? In my opinion, to announce that you were, going to exercise free agency. But he decided in that decision to take his talents to South Beach, to Miami. And his decision in doing so was to partner up with another number one option, someone who was a part of his draft class out of Marquette, and the phenomenal basketball player that was Dwayne Wade. And he had also conspired behind the scenes, or they all did, to bring Chris Bosh, who was the number one option and had his own team that he was leading in Toronto. And Chris Bosh was averaging 20, I believe it was, it was definitely 20 and 10. He was a 20 and 10, 20 plus points, 20 or 10 plus rebounds. I want to say it was 24 and 11 that he was averaging prior to joining Miami and Dwayne Wade, in addition to LeBron James. But that decision sent shockwaves through the league. That decision set a precedence in the league. This is what I mean by cheating the game, because it set a precedence in the league that, others who are looking up to him coming into the league are thinking, man, that's what we're doing now. Okay, cool. I'm going to follow suit. And so in that way, I feel like he cheated the game, because sports is about competition. The most beautiful part about sports is the competition. It's about earning your keep. It's about earning your stripes. And it's about competing against the absolute best person in front of you, or proving that this person who is in front of you is not the best in front of you, or this team that you're up against is not better than your team or as good as your team, or they at least can't beat you on this particular night or in this particular series. So with LeBron James making that decision, he tipped the scales, you know what I mean, of competition in such a way that, I mean, it was disturbing, and it was disgusting. Quite frankly, as a basketball fan and as a person who actually played basketball, competitive basketball, for years, right? And that was the problem with this decision. LeBron James overnight turned himself from this phenomenal, sensational, household name, beloved in the sport, the young up and coming, the future of the league, into a villain overnight. It was like, man, they were burning his jerseys in the streets of Ohio. I remember this buyback program for the jerseys. They were saying, man, if you just want to trade your jersey in, we'll give you another jersey. You know what I mean? Uh, Excuse me, we'll give you another jersey from another one of the players on the team. You know what I mean? Like, let's just try to turn the page. That being in Ohio, let's just try to turn the page on this LeBron James saga and this LeBron James debacle that was the decision. And so again, the precedence that is set was just not a good look. You know what I mean? That wasn't a move that you would have expected of a superstar player to decide that, look, man, we're just going to team up. I want a championship so bad that I'm just gonna create a super team, and that this was legit a super team. Let's talk about Le Team Hopper. And so the super team, as though that wasn't bad enough, you know what I mean, to team up with two other number one options. He's a number one option. D Wade on his own team in Miami was a number one option. Chris Bosh was also a number one option. Not to mention, they were even, conspiring with Carmelo Anthony to get him to join them as well. So, if you can even imagine how ridiculous that would have been to have all those brothers on the same team. And it's this AAU culture that hasn't been the NBA. And that's not to say that, oh, y'all mad at LeBron because he was the first person that did it and nobody else did it. And then also people just like acting like it was a bad thing just because they never figured it out and LeBron was smarter than everybody else. That's the problem. The problem is thinking that you're smarter than everybody else, and then you're moving weird in that way. And so, again, tipping the scales of competition and taking the competitive edge out of the sport is AAU. It's loading up the best players from around the country, the best players that you can find, and you create this super team in AAU that's just going to smash and demolish everybody else. The NBA, the National Basketball Association, is not AAU. And when LeBron James came in with that kind of an air, that kind of an attitude, that kind of a mindset, it was clear. And it showed in his joining up with these jokers in Miami. Um, he promised not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven. He promised a lot of championships that ultimately did not manifest. But kudos to Bron and that super team in Miami. They were able to win 2 championships. All championships are not equal. 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 And I know that some people are thinking right now, like, yes, they are. A championship is a championship. And if you've never been a part of winning a championship, then you don't understand. I was a member of a high school basketball team that won a championship. And man, it was a very special thing. We earned it. We worked our asses off all season. We traveled outside of the state or outside of DC to play against other teams, across the nation that were tops, higher ranked in the USA Today polls, etc., the Associated Press polls, and we literally made a name for ourselves that year as a really solid basketball team, and it was good for us to do that, right? We earned our stripes through competition. We faced off against some of the best. We did not win all those games, but it showed us something about ourselves and it helped us to build character as competitors. And so, again, all championships not being equal, there's a reason that Kawhi Leonard probably isn't dragged as much for his injuries or his low management, you know what I mean, than he probably should be. And that's because he helped won the San Antonio Spurs win a championship, defending LeBron James, won finals MVP because of it. And most people are just like, man, you won the finals MVP. All he did was guard LeBron. LeBron still averaged almost 30 points a game or whatever in those finals. And it's like, that's true. That's true. But the defensive presence that was Kawhi Leonard as a young player in the NBA back then, and because of his team winning overall, that championship ranks super high amongst the championships that were won. They beat this Miami Heat team. So beyond that, Kawhi Leonard also won a championship in Toronto. I'm telling you, all championships are not equal. This brother signed with Toronto, went up to Toronto and won a championship. He brought the first championship to Toronto, to the Toronto Raptors. Huge. All championships are not equal. All championships are not equal. The Dallas Mavericks took a championship from this super team the first season that LeBron James was there. LeBron James, the famous lid choke. You know what I mean? Game that everybody always speaks about when they talk about how damaging it was to his legacy for him to disappear in those finals. So, you know what I mean? Like, all championships are not equal. Nobody expected the underdog, Dallas Mavericks, to even be. I mean, we expected them to get swept in that series. Man, if they would have taken one game off of the Heat in that series, I would have been impressed. But they didn't only take one game in that series. They literally took the entire championship from those boys. And so for that reason, again, it emphasizes the point that all championships are not equal. But LeBron James was able to win 2 championships with this team. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh were able to win 3 championships, or 2 championships rather, in Miami, which is admirable. They won 2 championships, man. It's hard as shit to win 1. You know what I mean? So the fact that they were able to win 2 in 4 seasons is very impressive. But it's the what happened afterwards. Kudos to him. Kudos to him for swallowing his pride, realizing that he had done Cleveland, man, dirty, and deciding to go back to Cleveland to right his wrong. And he was able to bring a championship to Cleveland, but he hopped teams again. Like, went from Cleveland to Miami. I'm gonna hop back now, AAU style, to Cleveland. His intention for doing so was noble, and the fact that he was able to win a championship, man, that's noble also. Kudos to Bron for that. And he hopped teams again. He hopped teams to LA. There's what followed in LA from a success standpoint. The 2020 bubble championships. All championships are not equal. All championships are not equal. All championships are not equal. That championship is not equal. He won it. Congratulations. But the team hopping element and aspect, I think that when Kevin Durant, like I said, with LeBron James setting the precedence through this decision to just go and play with whoever. I'm just going to go and play with some folks that I know are going to almost guarantee me success. When Kevin Durant did so, Stephen A. Smith went on record on ESPN by constantly saying and imploring anybody who would listen that it was the weakest move of a superstar in history. It was the weakest superstar move, and that's not. The weakest superstar move was LeBron James constantly, in keeping this AAU, kind or brand of bouncing around and team hopping in the purview of everybody, keeping this thing fresh. so that everybody would do it. I'm going to do it, man. I'm just letting y'all know I'm going to bounce over here, I'm going to bounce over there, I'm going to bounce over there. We've never seen a superstar bounce around from team to team to team. Superstar, that mold, or those who are cut from that cloth, will just be patient and allow a team to build around them. Does a team always build around a superstar? Ask Dominique Wilkins, I'd say no, right? Ask Patrick Ewing, I'd say no. You know what I mean? Ask Charles Barkley, I'd say no. Charles team hop too. And most people bring that up as one of those things like, well, Charles Barkley did it back in the day. Karl Malone did it. Gary Payton did it. They did it at the end of their careers. At the end of their careers. It wasn't a thing that was being done while they were in their prime. Although Charles Barkley left the Sixers and went over to Phoenix while he was in his prime. But when he left Phoenix and went to Houston to team up with Akeem and those guys, at the end, it was the end. And that's just, predictive of why they didn't win the championship then. It was over. It was too late. But even then, that doesn't make it right. But at the same token, it was in LeBron James's era of playing basketball that he was the first person to do it, and it set a precedence that sent shockwaves to the league that showed everybody else that, man, listen, if the guy who's touted as being the king, the one, if he can do it, man, I guess it's okay. So all of us can do it. And we've seen so many teams do it since. We've seen Kevin's like, man, it's good enough for LeBron, it's good enough for me. Shout out to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant bounced over to Brooklyn. They attempted to do it also in Brooklyn. Didn't work. Him, James Harden, Kyrie. Didn't work. But it wasn't just Kevin Durant who's done it, man. There have been so many teams that have attempted to do so. Even in Kawhi Leonard that I mentioned with the Clippers, that experiment didn't work. Kevin said it again in Phoenix. I'm out here in Phoenix. And I'm hoping, the best for this team, especially at this stage of their careers. But, the bottom line is you cannot tip the scales of balance of competition. You just got to build organically. Build the team organically. You know what I mean? And allow the thing to happen that way. It makes the game more palatable. It makes it optically, more exciting to watch when we know that, man, here's a team that's been grinding and they put pieces in place to get themselves over the top, and not just because you decide to team up with the homies. Team hopper. Trash. Next slide. Uncoachable. It's how LeBron James has cheated the game. This dude has had 9 different head coaches attempt to coach him, now on number 10. But 9 different head coaching fails in his career. Some of which it was LeBron James doing that got them fired. The brother's he thinks he's the coach. And it's I believe him listening to folks in the media, the mainstream media I'm speaking of specifically, who have created these false narratives that he's this basketball savant, that he's the smartest person to ever play the game, that the way that he can break down the game and the way he sees the game on the court is better than anybody who's ever played the game, which is utter and complete bullshit. He's not the smartest person to ever play. Basketball players are smart. They understand things. There have been other superstars who saw and had court vision. They called it court vision when I was growing up. Magic had some of the best court vision, man, you could ever hope to see. There were so many others who came into the league dishing the rock who had court vision as well, who had an acumen for playing the game, understanding plays, calling out sets, doing these other things. It's not just LeBron. If you watch enough basketball, you understand that. But the media had him believe in the hype that even for him, he was this savant that was smarter than his coaches. And then his coaches, man, just couldn't reel him in. And maybe this was something that started for him in his early days of playing basketball as he climbed through the ranks, where he could just do whatever he wanted to do, which is actually makes sense. Because most superstar players, if you've ever played with a superstar at any level, you understand that, man, some kids are so good that the coaches at some point just kind of, they just kind of loosen the reins on them and just kind of allow them free reign to do whatever they want to do because they're so special. And they're, for the most part, because they're playing against competition that is not quite on the level that they are, they're able to do some things that will ultimately make up for some of the mistakes that they made because you just turned them loose. LeBron James has been used to that his entire life as a basketball player. And it transferred right over into the NBA. We brought this bad culture, this bad behavior that has cheated the game of basketball. And unfortunately, those coaches like Frank Vogel, you know what I mean, who actually won a championship with the Lakers, coached LeBron James to a championship, or he get fired and blamed for the teams with that bubble championship. And I guess that kind of validates my point that all championships aren't equal, right? Because how do you get a championship coach fired 2 seasons after taking you to the finals and winning the championship. They understand that the bubble ring was bullshit. So anyway, not just Frank Vogel, but also, most recently, Darvin Ham. You know what I mean? Like LeBron James even sought to get Eric Spoelstra, the great Eric Spoelstra, fired. Spoelstra is one of the best coaches to ever coach this game, literally. Spoelstra takes a very limited personnel and does great things with them. And when I say limited, I don't mean that they're not professionals. I mean they're not. He's taking teams that aren't touted to be, oh my gosh, these are just like the most amazing collective of basketball players that anybody's ever seen assembled on this team, this franchise, or with this franchise. He's taking talent and just doing the best with his personnel. But LeBron James, prior to them even winning championships, sought to get Eric Spoelstra fired. This, as a fact, was validated and verified by Pat Riley, team exec, And so LeBron James, with this, again, bad behavior, bad culture, this mindset that he knows more than everybody else, and that, his superstardom should allow for whatever he wants that he should get, has been bad for the game of basketball. It has set a precedence that is not cool in the game of basketball. Next slide. Impatient. LeBron James is literally probably one of the most impatient superstars as I can think. He's literally the most impatient superstar that I've ever seen since I've been watching the NBA. Like, this dude, man, he literally has that, man, fucking kids attitude. He has carried this attitude from when he went back, team hop back from Miami to Cleveland, and they had the number one overall pick. They had taken Andrew Wiggins. He's like, I don't care nothing about no Andrew Wiggins. Got time to be playing around with no kid, even though Kyrie was young. But he's like, man, another one? Nah. Y'all get me somebody else in here. Kyrie's fine, but get me Kevin Love. Get rid of this kid. So they dealt the number one overall pick, Andrew Wiggins, to Minnesota for Kevin Love. Kevin Love, again, another one of those players who was the leader of his team, averaging 20 plus and 10 plus points and rebounds in Minnesota, over to Cleveland to form yet another super team with he and Kyrie. And not having the patience for the kids, or that kid, is one thing, but he doubles down when he team hopped again impatiently over to LA, and then he gets there and he's playing with that young core group of players like Lonzo Ball, like Julius Randle, like Brandon Ingram. You know what I mean? All these players, Lonzo Ball notwithstanding, look forward to Lonzo coming back and playing great this season, hopefully, after the injuries. But Julius Randle and Brandon Ingram have been playing great over the last couple seasons. So imagine that talent if it was still in LA. Imagine that talent if it was still in LA while LeBron has been there. He's still been there anyway. He's trying to speed through the process, and he would have just taken his time and just allowed these kids to develop like he was allowed time to develop. Neither here nor there. He's had no patience for the younger players. And that is, again, cheated the game, because you're trying to take shortcuts. You're trying to get to the promised land faster by surrounding yourself with the kinds of players that are going to help you get there now, like right now. And it hasn't manifested into anything other than that bubble championship. Impatient has done this thing with this air and this attitude about himself that has hurt the game of basketball. Has cheated the game. He's trying to cheat his way through the process in order to get to the thing faster. He's cheating the game. So has he cheated the game on the basketball court in terms of his play? No, man. The brother scored over 40,000 points in his career. You know what I mean? He's top 5 or something like that in assists. You know what I mean? He's done a great job. You know what I mean? Stacking stats. But he's cheated the overall game of basketball with his antics and with these attitudes and with this behavior. That is my point in this episode. And, it's just been clear. I don't have to fabricate a story. I don't have to reach. This is his history. This is his history. I'm just stating the historical facts surrounding his career. Impatient. Next up, Clutch Sports. I am sick of Rich Paul. I'm sick of Rich Paul, LeBron, and their know-it-all, you know what I mean, kind of approach and this behavior that they're taking into it. You know what I mean? Or that they've taken, to making moves, making decisions, trying to load up players. Anthony Davis, number one option. Once you see a theme running here, number one option in New Orleans. Look, Clutch Sports client signed this new contract, and then a season later, it's like, man, you know what? I want out of here. Rich Paul, his agent, CEO of Clutch Sports, forced a trade to get Anthony Davis out of New Orleans into an LA Laker uniform to partner up with his number one Clutch client in LeBron James. Utter bullshit here. This behavior, once again, we're not honoring contracts anymore. You're contractually obligated to see out this contract in this city. Nope, I want out. So forced, demanded a trade, even though he was under contract to play for another few seasons. I don't know. They should have just said, fuck no, you leave, or you try to leave, or you don't honor the contract play, you're in breach of your contract. It just is what it is. I would have stood my ground and said, nah, bro, you're not leaving, personally. But New Orleans decided to handle it a little bit differently, and they allowed Clutch to get their way. You can see my little quote here at the bottom. Either it's our way, or it's our way. That's been the attitude of Clutch, throughout. And, Rob Pelinka's along for the ride. I'm almost wondering if, I know that he's a former agent. I'm almost wondering if Rich Paul is now Pelinka's agent. I don't know. It hasn't been. I haven't verified it, but I'm almost wondering. You know what I mean? The way that they just seem to be in cahoots, even with building out this roster, present day, and how they've done so. And not just the roster, but you see, they even brought in JJ Redick as a head coach. JJ Redick never coached anywhere. I'm wondering if Rich is JJ's agent. It would make sense. They brought in JJ Redick, who has never coached anybody anywhere, not on any level has he ever coached. Not high school, not college, not pro. Anywhere. He coached his kids, like his 8-year-old daughter's team or something like that, a rec league team. That's his only experience. Jumped on a podcast in the podcast game and has been sharing his basketball brain. We know he was a standout at Duke. He was an incredible basketball player at Duke University, but his pro career was a decent career. He was no star in the NBA. We know that he knows the game and that he understands the game. He even did so by creating another podcast with LeBron for a few months called Mind the Game, where they would just spend time breaking down these plays and all that stuff, and the X's and O's look good. There were a lot of coaches that could break down some X and O's. Me and my teammates, even as basketball players and basketball minds, we'd sit up and we'd design plays of our own that we thought would work based on our personnel, and then we take them to the coach and say, hey, can we try this? So X's and O's are easy. Looks good on paper. But how's it look? How's it translate over to on court? And so these antics and the antics of Clutch have been so disruptive and so destructive for the game of basketball that it hasn't looked good on court. And it continues. They decided to draft LeBron James Jr., LNepotism Jr. LNepotism Jr. Now, I know that a lot of folks have been giving Bronny a hard time. I have tried my best not to be critical of this kid because I'm like, look, man, if a team, initially I was saying if a team wants to take a shot on him, who are we to stand in the way and deny this brother an opportunity to work, to enter the workforce? But the bigger picture wasn't necessarily that he be entering the workforce like, an average workforce. You're pulling strings, meaning Clutch Sports and LeBron James, Clutch Sports being Rich Paul, who up into the moments before the second round draft picks were actually made, was on the phone. It was broken as a story on the air of ESPN by Bob Myers, former GM and executive for the Golden State Warriors. That, man, look, Rich Paul is calling around telling teams not to draft Bronny, and if you decide to draft him, we're going to send him over to Australia to play. Funny for a kid that wasn't even projected to be drafted at all, that all of a sudden, man, some team might be interested in drafting him, and you're telling them you better not draft him. And so why would they tell him that? And then it came out later on that it was the Golden State Warriors who were actually interested in possibly taking a flyer on this kid. Makes sense that that he would have had that intel. Me and Bob Myers would have had that intel because he's still connected to the Golden State organization. Still got friends there. He still, so I'm sure they probably texted him and said, "Man, we want to take this kid." And so that's how he got the information to break on the air. So now, after finding that out months later that it was Golden State who had considered drafting Bronny, it makes sense that Bob Myers would actually break that news right before Bronny was drafted. But nonetheless, they got Bronny drafted. They, LeClutch, LeBron, Rich. They got Bronny drafted by the LA Lakers. Rob Pelinka, you are a moron. Jeannie Buss, what are you allowing these people to do to this organization? It is a mockery. But they drafted this kid. Man, I thought he deserved to be in the league. I thought it wasn't a big deal. No, it's not. Unless you're taking jobs. This is the problem with nepotism by and large. Is that when you take a job from somebody else who's actually qualified, it becomes bad. We have proof of it now with Quincy Olivare, who is a member of the LA Lakers team in through the preseason, who's outplaying Bronny and outplaying many players at that position, at the guard position on that LA Laker team, who now may not even have. I don't think they have contracts, but they can't sign anybody else. So this kid is either G League bound or bound to get cut at this point, which he deserves better. So, and in reality, I hope that he does. But this underscores the point of why nepotism is so bad. This is why it's bad. This is why it's bad. Bronny is a poster child for why nepotism is bad right now. Literally, let's take a look. We don't even have to reach. This is just the facts. His summer league ranks in points per game. He ranked 172nd in points. Field goal percentage, 307th in field goal percentage amongst the rookies in summer league, or the players in summer league. 300th in three-point percentage. And plus minus, he ranked 419th. That was in summer league. Summer league stats don't count. That's what LeBron said. They don't count. No. It's not like the summer league's when the stats, you can carry them over into the regular season. That was LeBron's smug response back during summer league, while summer league was taking place and he was over in the Olympics working out, getting ready to win hopefully an Olympic gold, which they ultimately brought home. But that was his smug response and reaction. Can't really carry over. They don't really matter. They do matter. And that carryover, I explained in another video, where the stats matter, but they don't matter. Playing well and getting, your stats and being able to look at the stats and measure your progress does matter to the player. It matters to the player. It gives the player something to shoot for. Bronny was in the basement then and is carried over through training camp and now into the preseason, where take a look at his rookie ranks right now. Amongst rookies, this brother is 94th in points per game. In field goal percentage, he's 95th. 3-point percentage, he's 104th. And in plus minus, he's 105th amongst rookies this year. On his own team, his team ranks in the preseason. And these are all preseason ranks that I'm getting into now. He's 17th on the team in points per game, on the whole entire team. 17th in field goal percentage. He's 18th in 3-point percentage. And turnovers, he's 15th and plus minus 18th. He is dead last across summer league, rookie ranks, and team ranks. Dead last in preseason and plus minus at minus 40. Played last night, his fourth preseason game. I believe they were down 14 when he came into the game. They lost by 14, so plus minus stays the same. The worst plus minus in all of basketball right now. This kid, with the stats that have just been shown, that I've just cited, this is statistical proof that Bronny James is not a pro. Jaylen Brown was mouthing it sideline during the summer league games in Vegas, and man, you would have thought that this brother, was just trashing a good player. He's looking at it. He's a pro. He's looking at it and saying, this kid ain't a pro. And his stats are now verifying that actual fact. We already knew this, though. This kid only averaged 5 points a game in college. That doesn't mean that he couldn't come into the NBA and at some point be a better player. But, man, look. LNepotism Jr., Spawn of his dad's bad decision making, poor behavior, this bratty kind of I'm LeBron, I'm the king, give me what I want. It wouldn't be so bad. And you're saying, but he was the 55th overall pick. Q. Relax, bro. You're acting like he was a number one overall pick. I'm not acting like that at all. I'm pointing these things out because of the piss poor decision making by Clutch and LeBron having an ulterior motive to do this for himself, irrespective of Bronny's mental health or Bronny's, how he's going to be just having to deal with this and all the pressure that it's putting on Bronny himself. But I'm doing this because the media is also pushing it. Every single thing Bronny does, just like last night, he got a block. I'm sure that I didn't even watch highlights, but I'm sure that was shown in the highlights. Bronny James gets a block. Bronny James gets a steal. Bronny James in his lone 2 points of the game. Like, the media is making such a big deal out of this Rudy story. We don't care. Honestly, we wouldn't care. Nobody would be talking shit about Bronny James if he wasn't in the NBA. But man, when you're on this level right here, this elite level, where 450 of the best basketball players in the world are signed to contracts to play this game, you are going to get scrutinized. And so 55th pick overall notwithstanding. So that 55th pick, though, also, for those that are saying, what do you expect of a 55th overall pick? I mentioned Quincy Olivari, who's on their team, that's not even going to get signed to a contract. He was not even drafted. So when people try to use this 55th pick, nobody's expecting anything of those picks. You're just picking people just like hoping for the best. Every single year in the NBA, there are players, just like Gabe Vincent, who is a teammate of Bronny's on the Lakers right now, who started in Miami, that went undrafted. Players go undrafted every single year that are actually good. Speaks more to the piss poor job of most of these scouts who are not scouting talent properly and choosing to use those latter draft picks on better players. Bronny don't deserve to be in this league. And it wouldn't be such a big deal as a 55th overall pick. I wouldn't be talking shit about it. Many wouldn't be talking shit about it. We wouldn't say anything about it except the media is pushing it. And the media is pushing it because of his daddy pushing it. LeBron James will be quoted as saying dumb shit. March 7th, 2023, a year ago, in March, man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass today. Shit lightweight hilarious. Shit lightweight hilarious. Opening your big mouth. He ain't stopped there. He just kept doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down with other statements. LeBron James says Bronny at 19 could play for the struggling Los Angeles Lakers right now. That was according to an article posted or run by published by People Magazine. Everybody just kept saying craziness. Kept saying craziness in press conferences after the game. He was triple down on these things, quadruple down. Just keep saying that Bronny could play. Bronny was ready. Looking forward to playing with Bronny. You did this. You did this. Hurting the game with this nepotism, this nepotism feat that you've been able to accomplish by getting your son into this league that he's not ready to play in. It is hurting the game of basketball, bro. It is setting a precedence. You say LeBron James earned it, Stephen A. Dumbass. LeBron James has earned this. Okay, so if LeBron James has earned this, I get it. Then we as fans consuming the sport, or leading to viewership, ticket sales, concessions when we show up to the games, jersey sales, those who are actually supporting the business, that is the NBA, the billion-dollar machine, that is the NBA, those who actually, from our money, spending it, or from our time, or our televisions or our devices viewing the games, which are leading to viewership and revenue, or we should just sit back and shut the fuck up and let y'all do whatever, because LeBron deserves it. Now, if LeBron deserves it, then every single player in the league who has a child or a kid who plays basketball, well, they deserve it too. So then we should just get ready for everybody's kid coming along to get this nod, right? As though Shaq wasn't a great basketball player. His son, Shareef O'Neal, y'all remember him? The Lakers actually did sign him, played in the G League. Now, I don't know where Shareef's at now. Scottie Pippen Jr., same thing. Scottie Pippen Jr. played for the Lakers also a few seasons ago. I think Memphis just signed him. Shout out to Scottie Pippen Jr. working hard to try to get himself to the ring. They didn't just end up on the team because of their daddy. But little nepotism Jr. Another story. It is time for this Joker to LeBow out. Seriously, LeBow out, bro. Time to retire. I think that LeBron James has cheated the game of basketball enough. He has given us enough as well in his play over the years to get out of the way and to allow the other players in the league to take the reins and to move the game forward. He has kept the game in a place, and the game is stagnant right now, and he's doing all these things while the game is stagnant that are hurting the league. It is time to let go, bro. Let it go. No? Well, LeBron James says, I don't have expectations, and that's unfair to put any expectations on us right now. The only thing that we can count on each other is how we come to practice and come to work every day and trust the process and get better every day. And that's what it's about. That was on October the 1st of this month. That's all we can expect. No expectations. On October the 3rd, he went in and said, LeBron James said he has nothing left to prove on the basketball court, but is still excited about the upcoming NBA season, his 22nd overall. If you have nothing else to prove, if we should have no expectations for this team this year, why are you playing basketball, bro? Why are you playing basketball? We've heard LeBron James say multiple times that he'll never cheat the game. When I feel like I don't have anything to give to the game, then I'll walk away. You don't have any expectations. You have nothing left to prove. Sounds to me like it's time for you to bow out. See my quote there. I told y'all back in 2017, I'm the GOAT. Because that coming back from down 3-1 against Cleveland, against Golden State rather, made me the greatest of all time. His statement, he said, at that moment, I was like, I'm the greatest in basketball people have ever seen. In all facets, James said. I can play the 1 through 5. I can guard 1 through 5. I did something that's never been done in the history of the sport. Bow out, bro. It's time for you to go. You are annoying as shit. It is time for you and your antics to go. Seriously. Le legacy. You can leave now. You've given this game everything that this game is going to get out of you as a basketball player. You have played this game on an elite level, bro. You have. And we appreciate it. But your antics and the way that you've cheated the game, no more. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Especially because when you've got your legacy left in the league, you got another son who's on the way. And so my thing is, either you trust the game of basketball safely into the hands of your son, Bronny James, or you don't. That has been the basis of this episode. I want to thank you guys once again for tuning in, man. LeBron James has cheated the game of basketball. He really has. You know what I mean? In the ways that I mentioned. And let me know what your comments are. Maybe you agree or you disagree. I don't really care if you agree or disagree. Leave your comments one way or the other. We can fight about it in the comments if you want to. My statements I stand firm on. I'm not changing it in terms of that position. What I see from Bronny, what I've seen from LeBron over the years, what I see present day, I feel like it's cheating the game of basketball and it's setting a precedence for, toxicity to come in this game that we don't need. I don't like it. And so I'm speaking out against it. And if you don't like it, tell me about it in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, blessings.